Ignition sequence starts. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hey everybody, this is the Digital Asset Investor, and I had a long weekend. I had to go do travel ball at Mercer University in Macon, Georgia. So I've been in Macon for the weekend. Then I came back and I'm getting a late start today, but that's okay. There's so many things to cover, and in my opinion, even though the market's been down, they're all positive things because A, these are buying opportunities in my opinion, but B, there's a lot more going on that's much bigger picture than the distraction that is coin market cap and the prices, okay? Let's start with this because you need to understand, I don't care what anybody says, I believe, in my opinion, gold is going to be extremely important in all of this. This is from the world. All the central banks are accumulating gold, but they're telling you not to. I mean, that's how this game has always worked. You're not supposed to have it, but that's what they're doing. Everything. That's why I keep talking about Glint. That's why Glint's one of my sponsors and one of my favorite sponsors. And I'm buying gold so that I have it, so that I have spendable gold, and I can also buy physical gold through these guys as well. All right, that link will be in the top of the description of this video. Now, here's what else central banks are doing: is they're building CBDCs, and I 1000% believe that when they roll these things out, that gold and some of these key digital assets like XRP and XLM are going to be a crucial part of this new system. Listen to this. This is Augustin Carstens from the BIS. BIS is the central bank of central banks. Listen to what he says.
We had recently here an event among emerging market central banks. 26 central banks came, and 90% of them are already working in a very advanced phase on central bank money. So I think that in general, to promote the additional digitization and even making CBDC a reality, we need to work very closely with the private sector. We need to invite different type of innovators, but there is the centrality of central banks that is irreplaceable. And that's why it is so important to have central bank digital currencies in as a reality, hopefully relatively soon.
Wow, I mean, that's a fascinating statistic.
Oh, there's Julia Chatterley, who disappeared once we started talking about the Ethereum free pass. Now, this is big picture stuff here. This is Bretton Woods 2.0. This is what we're all really here for, because look, everybody gets all freaked out about a market downturn, but don't forget this. This is the most important thing. What is it that a digital asset has to have for it to really have any value? Brad Garlinghouse has said it 1,000 times. Utility. No utility. But we have not even seen a market that really has any utility in it. It's all been on speculation. Watch this. This is Judy Shelton. Okay? Smart. Listen.
Paul Volcker was a big believer in Bob Mundel's idea that global monetary reform should be pursued. In January 2000, Paul wrote an opinion piece for the New York Times entitled, "Toward a Single World Currency to Level the Playing Field." Here's what he wrote.
We heard that before?
My sense is that if we are to have a truly globalized economy, with free movement of goods, services, and capital, a world currency makes sense. That would be a world in which the objectives of growth, economic efficiency, and stability could be reconciled. Unquote. Paul Volcker was present with Nixon at Camp David on that weekend, 50 years ago today, when the decision was made to close the gold window. He was Treasury Undersecretary for Monetary Affairs at the time. Volcker assumed that it would be a temporary closing, as Nixon said in his speech. Volcker thought the convertibility rate, $35 per ounce of gold, needed to be adjusted upward. He wasn't exactly sure by how much.
That's an interesting concept, adjusting the price of gold upward, like it almost sounds like a gold price set.
But he never expected that the Bretton Woods international monetary system would be abandoned in favor of having no international monetary system. And in fact, in 2014, he gave a speech entitled "A New Bretton Woods" with 3 question marks.
All right, there you go, folks. Any of you that are new, this is what we're really talking about. Now, so this person right here, XRP Crypto Quebec, has summed up, I mean, this is like the perfect diagram right here. Look, so for years, I'll explain how I see this. So for years, nobody will talk about XRP or XLM. All you hear about Shiba Inu, Solana, Bitcoin, Ethereum, all this stuff, okay? And it never made any sense. I've had countless conversations with many people, including my father, the official father of the Digital Asset Investor channel. And my father always said that the whole Bitcoin, Ethereum proof of work thing, it doesn't make any sense. Meanwhile, it's like a head fake. And nobody will talk about XRP and XLM. Even Elon Musk, he won't say the words XRP or XLM, but he'll talk about Dogcoin. So you got all this garbage, and all the media is pumping the same thing, and it's like they're dropping it out to all the hordes of people. Meanwhile, what we've been doing on this channel and other channels here in XRP land is covering the big boy and big girl stuff, the adult stuff. But everybody acts like we're crazy and, oh, this is a scam. But all this stuff is great. This makes sense. Meanwhile, exactly the opposite is true. I'm not saying all of the things that they have been talking about are scams. I don't think Solana is. I think that a lot of these are good projects. But they don't talk about the things that make sense in adult land where I live, okay? Meanwhile, we've uncovered all of this Ethereum stuff. The Ethereum proof of work, Ethereum is a pile of garbage and everybody knows it, but everybody talks about it like it's not. Meanwhile, we've uncovered the origins of Ethereum, which are secret meetings, disguised whales. We still can't find out who bought Ethereum in the original ICO, and nobody, including the SEC, is not asking them that. And at the same time, Gary Gensler says that lending is crypto lending, that's a security. Well, the guys at Ethereum are bragging about 2.0 staking and how they're about to issue 2.0. They're all working on it in a coordinated fashion, but he doesn't do anything. So now, meanwhile, you've got Ripple down here in this XRP submarine, and there's a picture of scissors cutting the anchors, and you have to wonder, folks, because this diagram just really tells a story. So now let's get back to the distraction. The coin market cap, we're at 910 billion. The digital asset investor is, I wish that things weren't green today, because I was going to do some buying yesterday, but I didn't have what I needed to do so in my hotel in Macon, Georgia at Mercer, okay? So, but what I'm looking at, I'll tell you straight up what I'm looking at. I'm looking at buying into Cardano. I don't know if I mentioned this, but the largest booth at Consensus 2022, the most active booth I saw was Cardano. And that's an interesting thing to know. I also know that Charles Hoskinson and the Cardano people threw a big party, and I think they had Ice Cube and one of the guys from Lord of the Rings there. I talked to some guys that went. So what I'm looking at in terms of buying these dips is Cardano, XRP. When I see one, I'll tell you. I'm looking at Algorand, Stellar. I'm looking at VeChain. I'm looking at Hedera. I'm going down this. I'm just going down the first page, and I'll just tell you the ones I'm interested in right now. This right here, for instance, this is the lending platform built on Ethereum. It used to be called ETHLend. Is Gary Gensler going after them? Not that I know of. Let's see what else. Quant is a good one. I'm just going down this first page, and I was going to tell you the ones that I think some of these, like this is a gaming. I think they use the XRP ledger. That's a good one. XDC is a good one. These are just my opinion. Kava probably is a good one. And I don't own, most of these I don't own any in. I don't own any of most of these, but Theta is another one. All right. So anyway, just some of my thoughts. Okay, check this out. This is the founder of Hedera Hashgraph. Listen to what he says. He's a smart guy. This is what you're really in the midst of, folks. Listen to him.
For more than one player, right? So
wait a minute.
There's always room for more than one player, right? So when Ethereum came along, it didn't kill Bitcoin, and Bitcoin's doing pretty well. So, maybe room for multiple people. I don't know. Typically, the history of any kind of market is that you have this enormous springing up of thousands and thousands of companies, and then you have a crash, and then you get down to 3 or 4, whatever, big companies that continue on there. And that's the way every revolution tends to happen. I'm sure we'll see the same pattern here.
Okay. Then we've got this. Tether says it's preparing a full audit with a top 12 firm to provide more transparency on USDT reserves. And I said Ethereum should announce the same for their ICO. Do a full audit. Why not? You don't have anything to hide. And I tweeted this morning. The Web3 Ethereum people love to speak about transparency and a new trust foundation. The irony is everything was done in secret. The original sin is the disguised whales in the Ethereum ICO. The Ethereum Free Pass was next. They never thought we'd put it together. Then I was watching this morning. There was a clip from Mark Andreessen from Andreessen Horowitz. He's talking about Web3. And when you hear Web3, mark my words, they're talking about Ethereum. Web3 is Ethereum. The only problem is they didn't know that we would put the language stuff together and what all they were trying to do. The problem I have, I'm all for Ethereum. I'm all for Web3. But here's the problem. Unless you're going to give us a level playing field, and that's the only reason I keep talking about this, unless you're going to give us a level playing field, then I'm going to keep exposing what this really means. They're selling you this idea that there's this new trust foundation, that it's all transparent now because it's decentralized. Well, that's like it makes no sense, because everything that they did to build up to this moment where they're claiming everything is this trust foundation was built in secrecy and disguised. Well, you don't have to take my word for it. Take their own words for it, because I put together the words of the people that were involved, their attorneys, the other lawyers that were in the room at the SEC. It's their words. You don't have to take my words for it. How can we trust these people about this new trustless foundation of Web3 when this is how they created it?
And so there is this other side to it, which is, at least the way I think about it, is Web3 is bringing trust to an untrusted network.
But he then, after talking to Grunfest in a fireside chat at the Stanford campus, made his way over to see Andreessen the next morning. And this is the part that now not a lot of people know.
Not a lot of people know. Why didn't a lot of people know?
Invited Chris Dixon to round up the sort of the industry players who were really kind of trying to do it the right way.
Right. But and look, there was trust involved. Like people had to believe that encryption worked, right? And so, there were trusted components to what we built.
Let me know. I can email them to you. They were supposed to be confidential and submitted to the SEC.
Why were they confidential?
Within days, they were public. In fact, as the newspaper reporters were calling me, I'm going, oh my God, how did that get out? And all of us were immediately reaching out to Andreessen Horowitz saying, we didn't send it, honest. But the really valuable work product at this point, and the reason I mention that is Director Hinman's speech that I'm sure everybody at least is familiar with or has heard about. Most of what he says in there came out of the safe harbor as well as the meetings that we had with him.
But the big thing here that strikes me is just like this is an opportunity to build the internet, sort of internet phase 2, or Web3 is like an opportunity to basically build trust into this untrusted environment and have people come out the other side of this being like, okay.
A person can buy from any number of different identities. We may limit.
I won't play the rest of this. You've seen it all before. But my point is this. This would be like This would be like asking a woman to marry you and saying, well, you know, I know that I've cheated on you the entire time we've been dating, and I know that I lied to you pretty much the entire time that we've been dating, but now let's get married and we'll put all this behind us. That's what Web3 is. I mean, it's absurd. And what's even more absurd and scary is that our government, not as I sit here, not one politician, not one person in Congress has called for an investigation of this mess. Not one. And the referrals have been made from Empower. We'll cover that more in the next video. Nobody. The SEC, Gary Gensler's not trying to go after these guys. The SEC's not doing anything. CFTC's not doing anything. Nobody's doing anything. The only people that are trying to stand up for what's right and wrong are the people in XRP land out here who want a level playing field. And we will continue, because that's all we've ever wanted is a level playing field. We didn't bring on the shade, they did. Thanks for listening. Well, I didn't do it right. I'm the digital asset investor. I'm not an investment advisor. This is for entertainment purposes only. Please subscribe, hit the like button. Tell your friends and family. I don't even know if I just said that twice. Sometimes I do. We didn't bring on the shade, they did. But we're just